because towards the end of the season, Giannis went to the president and the owner, and they had that closed door meeting. Y'all remember that? And I think he
Yes.
played
Absolutely.
out what he
Yeah.
needed, so they stepped up.
But do you
So how do
think
you
that's
think
still
they
going to be
compare
enough?
against your Brooklyn Nets and your Miami Heat now? You think
Well,
they
let
can
me just
beat?
say this.
Do you think they can knock off the Heat?
I think if they get the output that they received from Lopez in the playoffs, I think it would definitely be an asset with the two individuals that they just acquired. Again, but they have to bring it every game. They just can't do a one game show up and then wait for Giannis to carry him to the threshold. That ain't gonna happen.
One thing that's also very noticeable: people are giving up big picks for people you wouldn't expect a lot of picks to be given up for. Your man Drew Holiday, as much as I like him, do you think he's worth three first round draft picks though?
Well, you got to look where those 3 draft picks are going to happen.
Speak on
If
it,
they're
Bruss.
if they're successful in Milwaukee, those are going to be at the end of the first round. Would you rather have Drew Holiday for the next 3 to 5 years versus 3 guys that probably won't make your team?
Very good points.
If
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
but you know what, Milwaukee and hello guys, how y'all doing? Hey sis.
What's up, Ed?
Hey, but here's the thing with Milwaukee. Milwaukee is doing everything in reverse. Because if ownership wasn't cheap and worried about a luxury tax, they wouldn't be in the position they are in now, trying to give up picks and acquire Drew Holiday from the from New Orleans. Because
Right.
if they would have simply gave, and because I believe his salary right now stands at excess of 25 mil a year. So and they kept the other kid and that they traded. What's his name? The guy that got from Phoenix, the point guard that they had, the starting point guard that was in. Well, anyway, the kid from Kentucky, what's his name?
Oh, you talking about Bledsoe?
Bledsoe.
Bledsoe, yeah.
I believe he was somewhere around a 12 to $15 million a year player. But anyway, what I'm getting at is if they would have kept their homegrown Michael Brogdon instead of letting him get to Indiana, they wouldn't be in a position right now where they were searching for a reliable number 3 scorer. You know,
Absolutely.
yeah, and he's big. I mean, he was bigger than well, heck, he's bigger than Drew Holiday, but they had the perfect piece already in house, but they got smart and cheap. And now when their backs were against the wall as far as free agency and potentially losing Giannis, now they want to come try to get right.
But
I
has
completely
Giannis actually said? I'm sorry. Has Giannis actually said he was going to stay after they acquired these two individuals?
Well, we
Nope.
don't
No.
know what happened behind the scenes.
Yeah, yeah. You
Right.
won't know that
He didn't
until
verbally.
they put that max contract in front of him Friday, and you'll find out later Friday whether he's going to sign it or not.
Absolutely. But off to your Phoenix Suns, and one of the biggest moves of this offseason, they pick up Chris Paul. Well, actually, they acquired Chris Paul from the Thunder, and they trade Oubre, Rubio, basically a lot of their young talent. I really don't understand this particular trade for Chris Paul. I like him, solid player, great point guard, but what does Phoenix stand to gain really from this?
Hey, Jay
Do you,
Wills, real quick. Who's Phoenix's point guard right now? Go.
Phoenix Suns, Professor J.
Devin,
Good
Devin,
job.
Devin.
No, Devin's not a point. The point
It was
guard.
supposed to be Ricky Rubio.
Supposedly.
Rubio. Right.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah,
So this is a realization that Phoenix is a lot further along in their development than they originally thought. They're about a year or two ahead of schedule. And Devin Booker, the show he put on in the bubble, plus they got the big man that they're trying to develop. They need leadership, veteran leadership that's going to push those boys to develop. And that's one thing Chris Paul will do. He's going to come in and push. I don't know how long he's going to last pushing,
I
and
was
people
about
get
to
tired
say.
of him.
Right.
But he will push them to be better than what they are now. And don't forget, he gets his old coach back.
Mike Williams.
They let go a lot of young firepower, though. That's the crazy part. Kelly Oubre, up and
Oh,
coming individual,
Come
got a
on
lot
now.
of young
come on,
Come
energy.
on now.
Jay.
You
I
letting
don't
your
like Kelly.
whole
Man,
bias.
you
You
watch
letting your
too much
whole
I
bias.
Washington,
Come on
man.
in. Come on. Stop it.
Oh,
Stop
Yeah,
it.
stop it, Jay Will. Stop it. Stop it. Kelly Oubre.
he
He
said
was
up and
good for
coming
18,
firepower.
but we're talking about developing talent and making that move into these upcoming seasons. One of the players that was fueling that push and making them look a lot different than they did in the past was Kelly Oubre and Ricky Rubio. If I had the stats here, it would show that they were definitely impacting the team in the right direction. You
But see,
remove these guys and you bring in a much older point guard. How are you going to keep up with these other running gun teams with Chris Paul? He gonna need a sub 4 minutes in.
Did you
but
see what he did in Oklahoma City
Yeah, he's
when
not
they
done.
had
OKC kept their
nobody?
young players
He's not
though.
done.
Mhm.
They kept their young players though.
They
They
still
gave up
got
a
the two
lot
young
for
hoops.
aging Chris Paul.
But see, the
They
thing about it is, Phoenix is in no position to worry about who's aging and who's not. Devin Booker, although he signed his contract, I think he's good for the next 4 years. I think it's 3 or 4 years. But don't forget, you're talking about a 22, 23-year-old young man. So in 3 years, you always have to look, especially in the NBA, where players routinely force their way out of bad situations. They can't worry about 3 years from now. They have to worry about the next 1 year or two. And Chris Paul is good for at least a year or two, and he doesn't have to be the lead dog. All he has to do is get everybody in position and teach a culture of winning. Phoenix has not won. Let's not forget they have not. I can't remember the last time they won. Okay, they had a little success in the bubble, but other than that, they have not sustained any long-term success. So they have to make sure that Devin Booker is comfortable in the desert. They have
Mm.
to make sure that he shows that they're okay. Well, they're at least willing to try to improve their situation. Because let's be honest, the draft, if you don't necessarily have the top, a lottery pick and a little luck behind it, hey, there's no guarantee that help is coming.
So
Yeah,
you okay with
chemistry.
CP3 going there?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Chemistry means a lot. I mean, they thought the same thing bringing in Jimmy Butler to Minnesota, and then that didn't pan out. And then you had to break that up because they all didn't get along because they couldn't take that fiery push. Put Jimmy Butler in Miami with some young cats, and that's what they thrive off of. So it remains to be seen. Can they take a Chris Paul fiery, wants it done a certain way? Remember, he wants to win a championship. So if he's coming in there, he's going to push them to play to their top level abilities and talent. And if he doesn't get that, they're going to have a sour locker room.
Speaking of championships, let's talk about the championship Lakers. I like the
Why?
move that they just did. Why? Why?
It was a very smart move.
Come on
That was
now.
a very smart move.
They just picked up a 2/3 guard and Dennis Schroeder,
Schroeder.
who can ball, prove that he can play on the ball at point or off the ball at two, and he will get in anybody's grill. Lakers needs some of that fire so that LeBron doesn't have to do that all the time. And AD, that's not in his personality. So I think that's a big pickup, especially for Danny Green and a bag of peanuts. Come on now.
There's
Man,
only
Schroeder,
one
torture.
negative to that. The only negative I see is that if they choose to get rid of Rondo because of economics and because they picked up Schroeder, I don't necessarily like that. Now, if they can get rid of Avery Bradley and keep Rondo, then okay, everything's well and fine. But I just wish there was a way that they can not only acquire Schroeder but also keep Rondo as well.
Well, I thought they were trying to get rid of Rondo so they could get Schroeder.
No,
Well, they secured
Rondo's a free
Schroeder
agent.
Yeah,
right.
he's
That's why they secured Schroeder via trade, because there's no guarantee that Rondo comes back. This is his second ring. He may go somewhere and get paid now. So I thought it was a smart move. And he'll help to run the offense, just like Big Ridge said. You can take the ball out of LeBron's hands for a greater amount of the game than maybe even Rondo as well, as long as he trains him up and he shows him. And of course, Rondo is leap years smarter than Schroeder, but underneath LeBron and Schroeder's energy level, his ability to attack on defense, he's a solid two-way player, and he's going to bring a lot to the Lakers. He may have locked down and guaranteed they fifth, LeBron's fifth. That's all I'm saying.
You really think LeBron's going to give up that ball like that?
He did this year. He had to in the playoffs. He gonna give up that ball because he can't do it. He's getting old. He's gonna have to play differently. Very similar to Chris Paul. Moving on.
Yeah, he let Rondo get the ball.
What
so
about
that's what he's looking for. Expect Rondo to sign with the Clippers. Try to be.
That's what I heard. Yeah, that's what I heard.
Because he wants more playing time. That's the one thing in the Lakers. He's going to be coming off the bench at the Lakers. He wants a shot at being the number one point guard again. And the Clippers, I'm sorry, not necessarily the Clippers. Their number one man said he want a real point guard because he doesn't want playoff P having to control the ball. So,
brick.
So let's move on to tomorrow night's NBA draft. And there's some interesting players coming out there. Jay Wells, I like your breakdown. I think Obi Toppin is by far the most ready to play right now player coming out of the draft. He was killing everybody in Dayton last year before the pandemic stopped everything. So he didn't get a chance to show the world how good he was. You got Anthony Edwards out of Georgia, 6'5". They try to compare him to like a James Harden type. I got questions about that. Of course, you got LaMelo Ball. Is he going to be the best ball brother of them all? And then you got James Wiseman, who's an interesting situation. A young fella who was a freshman. Everybody was thinking he was going to take Memphis to the Final Four maybe last year, and then they found out there was some issues with him moving to Memphis and all that, so he had to sit out, and he decided, if I'm going to sit out half the season, I'm just get ready for the NBA draft. So who do y'all think is going to go top of the draft tonight before we get off of this NBA segment?
I don't have a clue.
It sucks to be Minnesota.
Wow, you think the draft is that weak?
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, look at it. The best player I think is Obi, but they criticize him for being 22. Like, when did 22 become old? I don't get that when they talk about these NBA players and he has this, he has that, he's great, but he's not 18, he's 22.
They gotta say something. I mean, what else can they say?
Yeah, and then Ball. I mean, we've seen that already. We've seen what's going on. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not impressed by anybody. Like I said, the kid out of Dayton is the only one I consider that, like I actually paid attention to him when he was playing. What I guess is it almost a year ago.
I think the problem here is that we did not have an NCAA tournament. So we're going this long without actually seeing these players play and actually see them play at their height. It's like, okay, we got a bag of 6 players that people think will be able to do something, but it's like, we're unimpressed. I mean, to me, I like Anthony Edwards, but a lot of people don't. But I'm thinking that he would probably be the one that pans out more than anybody else in this draft, depending on what team he goes to. But again, it's been such a lackluster show of what we can see that they can actually do because of COVID that it's like maybe they just going to cover their eyes and just pick a player and just draft him. I don't know. And I definitely don't want to hear from the Ball father. If he can get drafted without all this, I'd be happy for him.
But you made a point, Professor J. It just depends on.
And I'm sick of him.
But Professor J, you made a point. It just depends on where these players end up at, and if they fit in the scheme that they're placed in. So, to be determined.
Stay away from Washington.
Does Golden State keep the number 2 pick, or do they try to package that to try to bring back another number 3 player?
That's interesting, Big Reg, because they've been connected to trying to snatch Bradley Beal from the Wizards. So it all depends on how it's done.
I thought they already had. I thought Green was
Brooklyn.
the number 3. I thought Draymond already was the self-proclaimed number 3 best player on that team. That's what he said. He said they didn't need they would already won championships without him. That's what he said. He said that.
Come on now, Ed. Come on now.
I'm just saying. The man said they didn't need him, Durant. They already won championships.
So for all you basketball fans out there, the NBA draft is tomorrow night. And then Friday, 12 a.m., tips off NBA free agency. It's really going to get wild then. Let's move on to why Mel is here. Let's talk some NFL football. But before we really get deep into the games, we got to talk about the injuries again. And did we see the last of Drew Brees, fellas?
No.
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
We should.
He gonna go to the end.
No. What do you mean you should? The Bama is just rocking up yards and touchdowns this year. What do you mean you should?
I don't know how many
Brady should
in a season, but at his age, I don't want to have any more.
Drew
It don't
Brees got
matter
9
about
lives.
his age. Statistically, he's still at the top of the league. This team has been winning without Michael Thomas. I mean, come on, man.
I'm just
I don't
thinking
know
about
what
the
I'll
man.
be watching, man.
Yes, I expect him back on the field. I was just thinking about the man's health. He's an older guy. When he showed himself healing up,
He wants to get back on that field. He would have died on that field if Sean Payton didn't keep him out of there. He didn't even know he had a punctured lung.
That's the scary
That's
part
not
about
good.
it.
Right.
His shoulder was hurting so much, he didn't know he had broken ribs either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a problem, especially for a 41-year-old. So he says he's getting a second opinion, and they'll try to figure out if they're going to put him on IR. But that's real dangerous. An old man with broken ribs on both sides continue to play. So I hope he takes his time. Speaking about QBs getting injured, man, I was real scared on Sunday when I saw Teddy Bridgewater go down with another knee injury. But luckily, they say it's just a sprain. So hopefully he could only be out a week or two.
What about Nick Foles?
What about him, man?
Nah, we gotta say prayers for that man. He
Oh my goodness. That's how you
that was
going, bro?
nasty too.
That's how you going, bro?
They say it's just a hip pointer. Supposedly, they got good news, but I mean, the Bears are done, man. They need to. Everybody need to go. The GM, the coach, and Nick Foles, and your boy Trubisky. All of them need to go.
Nick Foles good. He got a ring.
That's true. And I don't feel sorry for the Bears because they passed up on Mahomes and they passed up on
Watson.
So
Yep.
screw 'em.
Yeah.
They didn't want to take the black quarterback, so this is what you get.
But see, I don't want him to deplete the cupboard too much because that might be what Cam ended up.
I feel
And if it wasn't
bad.
for the Packers, they'd be okay. Because they're just like one team away from being the NFC East.
Oh,
Damn!
That's how you feeling tonight, man. Okay.
You can't argue with that.
Wow.
You can't argue with that.
I mean, really, who else is in that? Who else is in that division? I mean, that's doing anything.
That's true.
I hear you.
That's true.
I hear you. And of course, multiple teams have placed multiple players on the COVID-19 list. That's going to be a continued situation. I think we might see shelter-in-place local bubbles for the playoffs, fellas, as we talked earlier.
Yeah, maybe if they even continue playing.
So let's get to what I thought was maybe the most anticipated game of the week: the Rams against the Seahawks. I mean, Russ has been cooking all year, but I think he ran out of water in that pot and started burning a little bit.
Right.
Because he had a rough week.
Right.
I don't know what he was looking at. I mean, those two
Man.
interceptions, he literally forced them balls. That was crazy. I'm like, and the last interception, he could have literally ran for the first down. Why was he forcing it? I didn't understand that.
Yeah.
I did not understand that.
Eggs, oodles,
Well,
and
he knows his defense like sucks, so I mean, he try and carry the whole team like on his shoulders.
How you only target Metcalf 4 times? Ramsey good.
Because that boy Jalen Ramsey was in his grill all day.
But he a beast. Don't target him 4 times. I mean, that's like telling Montana and Rice don't throw to Jerry. I mean, Montana and Young don't throw to Jerry because Dion was on him. He cooked Dion just as many times Dion got back at him. So you got to throw the man the ball. I ain't going for that, Big Red. Nah.
Yeah, but here's the issue I see as far as Russ is concerned. And again, and it's shocking that Schneider, who is the GM, and Pete Carroll hasn't addressed this, but their offensive line for the entirety, let me not say the entirety, but for the last 3 or 4 years in Seattle, their offensive line has been
garbage.
Their running game has been suspect. Again, a direct result of that offensive line. And it's just Russ has so much on his plate that I honestly believe that he's just emotionally tired. I mean, because he can never roll back, sit back in the pocket, scan the field, check down to his first, second, and third options, and then throw the ball. He's always, but he does that, but he's always doing it on the move. So if he has an interception or 3, I mean. Eventually, I mean, the NFL, those are NFL players that he's playing against. It's not like
that. Look like, Ed? Who that look like? That look like the Washington football team.
Yep.
That's exactly what they do.
Say the exact same thing.
That's exactly what they do. They don't invest in the line. They be back there running for their lives, trying to get the ball.
That's the only thing that's similar about the situations.
Because the defense is about the same.
Quarterbacks at Washington to Russ.
But all I'm saying is that, Russ is there. There's like a couple speed bumps he's had the last few weeks. But again, I don't necessarily put this all on Russ. I mean, a lot of times we're sitting back, we're watching these games and we see these interceptions or what have you. But sometimes you gotta look below the surface and see, okay, what's really going on. I just think, like I said, I just think he's tired, man. I mean, look,
I think that too. But also, should we be looking at Pete Carroll? Doesn't Pete Carroll have a history of like calling bad plays? I mean, we all remember the Super Bowl and beast mode. Yeah. So he has a history of like not using all his weapons to their advantage. I mean, it's true. Russ is trying to carry the team on his shoulders. And I think, like you said, Ed, he is tired.
And I mean, you got to also, they lost 2 games when the offense scored 32 points.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So coming into a game, more than likely I got to put up 30 plus just for us to compete.
Dak Prescott.
Sounds like Deshaun Watson too.
I hope he don't get hurt. Trying to do all that.
Yeah. So let's move on to the only undefeated team left in the NFL.
Here we go, Steelers. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go.
So what'd you think of that game, Mel? I mean, your boys looking good.
Yeah, they're looking good. And like I was saying before the show, for once, I didn't have like heart palpitations watching that game and holding my breath to see if they were going to eke out a win against subpar teams. So, I mean, it was good. And I love how after the game, how like the defense was basically saying, we wanted to welcome Burrows to the AFC North the right way and let him know what to expect when he comes to Pittsburgh. I see you, Professor J.
Get out of here with that.
Oh, man.
It's just too much support for Pittsburgh on this show. Between Ed, Mel, and BJ in the comments, I've had enough. Been every game from here on out. Juju Smith-Schuster is not that fast.
Y'all better go to the daggone Super Bowl.
Oh, wait a minute
No,
now.
they got an
About to
excellent
fight.
team. They look well. They look like a well-oiled machine, man. And having a dude like Ben Roethlisberger, who's been there before, he's not shocked by the moment. He stays controlled. There's not really a defense you can throw at him that he hasn't seen all the way back to the Jerome Bettis days. He's just been doing it for so long. So I think you got a coach on the field, man. They look like they're in prime position to take it all.
Yeah, I'm gonna just just give it up for my little cousin Andrew. Passed away a couple of years ago. He would be very proud of his team right now. So that's why I got this wonderful little trophy with his picture on the inside. So love to the Steelers because of my cousin Andrew. Just wanted to say.
For cousin Andrew, yes.
You wrong, Jay Wills. You wrong, Jay Wills. So I just want to give some props to the man on the other side of the ball, though. Joe Burrow is balling. You talking about somebody running for his life and getting hit? I mean, seriously, against that defense, and that's a big if Cincinnati ever develops a line and keeps those young receivers with him, they're going to be a problem in the near future. But who says that Cincinnati will actually draft a good line? So let's move on to the.
Well, we always
throwing a lot of
Browns
shots
are gonna be the
today.
Browns for the longest time, and for once they're having a decent season. I mean, it took them like 50 number one draft picks to finally get it halfway right. So.
And they still ain't going to the playoffs.
You swinging hard, Mel. You are swinging hard.
He is.
And nobody really believes in the Browns because of that QB. Come on, let's be real.
Baker.
Yeah, so. Let's talk about a real good young QB, also from the Oklahoma University. Kyler Murray is a beast. What he did to the Bills,
it's not surprising. We knew
But
he
isn't
had
it?
it in him. No, because we knew he had it in him.
But you know what? This probably was the best game of the Sunday slate. But,
yeah, I agree.
But the thing about but as great as Kyler was in that game, the Bills are a good team too, though. I
That's
mean,
what I'm saying.
Sometimes.
Allen and
Sometimes.
Well, they got 6. I mean, they 6-3. I mean, you know.
Yeah, but
7-3.
7-3. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they should have had this game.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a Hail Mary that won them the game. I mean, the only person that should feel sick about this game is Deshaun Watson.
No doubt. No doubt.
He's the only.
No
To this
doubt.
day, I still can't figure that out. You giving away the best receiver currently in the NFL for a second round draft pick and a washed up running back.
Owner.
Yeah, I saw a show this Monday morning. They said the owners and the current GM need to go to wherever Bill O'Brien lives currently, walk up to the door, ring the doorbell, and tell him, "You fired again," and we want some of our money back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
But are we surprised at Kyler's success so far in the NFL?
Nah.
I mean, he does not look anything like a conventional NFL quarterback.
Right.
I mean, if you passed him on the street, you wouldn't even think he was an NFL player, let alone a quarterback.
Yeah.
But I mean,
No, I ain't surprised. I'm just surprised at that weak prevent defense that the Bills were in at the end of that game. That's what I'm surprised at. He shouldn't even have had a setup for a Hail Mary. And I ain't gonna get outright argue with a Bills fan about this over the weekend.
he faked out a top D end, went to the left, repositioned his hips, launched the ball 52 yards in the air, and threw it to the only man possibly on the planet who's going to go up against 3 DBs, 2 of them are Pro Bowlers.
Smurfs.
Hey,
white
they got
ball.
there.
But you knew that when he
2
came out of
all
college.
pros.
This is
And he
nothing
just snatched
surprising.
It don't matter when you know how to high point a ball. If you a
Right.
Smurf, you're not gonna stop me from coming down with the ball. Which what I don't understand. They didn't jam him at the line. They didn't do what Green Bay knows that you should do and put like a 6'7" tight end or wide receiver back there who know how to high point a ball. I mean, they got dunked on, just like you said. They got dunked on.
It was a nice one too.
Yeah.
Y'all do realize that play was not designed to do that.
Of course not.
The Hail Mary was actually for the other side where they ran 3 receivers to the other corner.
But I'm
That
throwing
was supposed to be an underneath pass for 20 yards. But Collis saw him. He said, hey, I'm going to just chuck it up. DeAndre down there, he going to make something happen.
That's my all-pro. That's who I'm throwing to.
That's true.
Without a doubt.
So what do we think about the Buccaneers? Say up 1 week, down the next week. Up 1 week, down the next week.
Overrated.
Personally, I don't like them because I don't like Brady. So,
Thank you. Ma'am, welcome anytime. Thank you so much.
So, and I don't like Arians. I don't like how he went back on his word saying he would take Brown, and then oh no, we need him for an insurance policy. So I relish when they have a bad game.
Wow.
Me too.
Wow.
Go ahead, Amy.
Based on the injury, though, do you think they'll win the NFC South?
I think Winston can keep it going. I think he can keep the rope going.
Just keep feeding it to Kamara.
Yeah, because Arian sucks as a coach. We already know that. I've talked about that before. And AB, it's just a matter of time before AB just throws a chair in the middle of the field or something. It's just a matter of time before something crazy happens with AB. So,
well, did you hear that it's now being reported that he had like an incident before the Bucs even signed him?
It's like a camera or something. I ain't even reading it.
It's only a matter of time before he blows up again. I mean, that's his MO.
That's true.
But it's gonna be Tom Brady's house. He gonna trash that joint.
Yeah. He might trash Tom Brady.
He trashed Tom Brady's house. He done in the NFL. Trust and believe, because Brady ain't gonna have that.
You would think, but he keep getting his chances.
I got to talk about these 5-win Dolphins.
In a row.
Quiet as it's kept. The Dolphins might win the AFC East. They're only half a game behind the Bills.
But is anybody really surprised? Because we talked about them in the beginning of the season with all the pieces that they put together and how they are utilizing them now. It's showing the fruits of their labor.
Brian Flores is a heck of a coach, but I thought they were at least a year or two away.
The funny thing with Brian Flores, I questioned him putting Tua in so soon. I felt that Tua may have needed some more time, not necessarily from a X's and O's standpoint, but I thought physically that it would be good. It would behoove the Dolphins organization to let that hip heal a little more before they put him on the field. But the one thing that I understood why they switched out from Fitzmagic is that the fact that Fitzmagic is a turnover machine. And with the defense that Miami has, the division that they play in, they said, wait a minute. All we have to do is limit these 2 interception games, run the ball and play defense and special teams, and we have a legitimate shot to win this thing. And hey, Brian Flores, credit, they're doing exactly that. He was smarter than I am. That's why he's the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. I am not.
Right. And where that dude Ahmed come from? That running back, man, he looked good the last couple of weeks.
He runs hard.
Practice squad, coaches actually developing players.
Yeah. How about that, Washington? How about that? Develop your players. Scout your players.
Look, Professor J, I can't stand here. I can't sit back here and let you down Washington football team. This morning, I was listening to Doc Walker, one of the local celebrities on TV, radio here in Washington area, and he murdered. Absolutely.
Because Doc is a champion. That's why. Him and B. Mitch never give this team passes.
But I felt so bad for Washington that I was just like, maybe I might go buy him some ice cream or something. Oh yeah,
Doctor does that once or twice a year, as well as Chad Dukes. They used to rip. They're good for ripping into the Washington football team 2 to 3 times a year, guaranteed. You just happen to catch this one. If you tune in next week, I promise you.
Hey, look,
After the
I'm gonna
product
tell
they're
you.
going to put on the field, he's going to have a lot more to say.
I'm gonna tell you, if that owner still owned that radio station, Doc would have quit. He would have walked off the set because when that scandal came out about the women and stuff like that, Doc was fired up back then too. So it's like I love it because they know what it means, the pride that they have for this city and how the team should be run, and they just not seeing that.
Same
So
results,
let's go
year.
ahead. Let's go ahead and talk about should Alex Smith be starting? That's not the future for that franchise, and they're obviously rebuilding.
They don't want Haskins. So
Nah,
what options do you have?
But Professor J sat here several weeks ago when they made that switch, and he gave me a history lesson on how they treat certain quarterbacks in Washington.
Yes, he did.
So with that in mind, I recall when Rivera made the switch. First of all, again, full disclosure, I'm not a Rivera fan. I don't believe he's qualified. Not necessarily not a head coach, especially not a GM. But anyway, getting back to it, he got in front of the microphone and told all of Washington football team fandom that he was making a switch because he felt that they still had a legitimate shot to make this to make a run at the playoffs. Obviously, we know that's not going to happen.
Hell no.
And that's not and I'm not coming down on the Washington squad. The whole NFC East, like Mel alluded to earlier, is in shambles. Well, I'm not going to say so. But anyway, so now are we still? You're right. I was just trying to be nice. Like I said, I feel for him. But anyway, obviously, if you're rebuilding, Alex Smith is not the quarterback.
Nope.
But there's something that Dwayne Haskins said, or something. It seems like it's a personal issue right now because we all know as great as the feel good story as Alex Smith is, he should not necessarily be starting in the NFL right now.
Right, especially behind that line.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like they're trying to get the man injured again. They just had a quarterback have his leg broken again. I mean,
but I've been saying it all along, dude. Their offensive line is terrible. It's terrible. So I don't care who you put back there. They all gonna end up on the same little wagon that's going out on the field. Every last one of them.
I think the only reason Haskins is still in a football team uniform is because they devalued him so much that nobody was willing to give them what they were asking for to get him out of the building. So Rivera already played that card. They don't want him. They don't like him. And my thing is go ahead and unload him for what you can get so he can get his career back on track. I mean, I wanted him to go to Pittsburgh. I was open about that. But just like you said, Ed, and I said this before, I was never a Ron Rivera fan because he never developed Cam. Cam pulled that team by himself. He didn't develop Cam the way he should have. And had he wanted him and really wanted to do that, man, just think where he would be today. But nah, man, this team, I'm not giving him any passes.
The scary thing is they're going to be in position to take another Ohio State quarterback the way they're playing now. I think they're going to have the number 2 and number 3 pick.
Yeah, I know how I feel about them Ohio State quarterbacks. None of them really pan out like that. So
I just don't want Alex Smith to get hurt. And it looks like that's where we're headed.
I agree.
We got the Steelers D coming in 2 weeks, so
you really had to remind us that.
That's going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah, you really had to remind us about that.
Yeah, that ain't even funny. Seriously, that ain't even funny.
That's gonna be so bad. Chase Young might yell on the field, "Come get me! Come get me!"
Yeah.
Wow. All right, let's move on before I get a little depressed over here thinking about that man getting hurt against the Steelers.
Yeah, I prayed that.
Pete BJ just threw a good question out there, guys.
It's nothing hidden about it. I saw the question.
Before. Yeah, We've said it before.
Yeah, go ahead and say it, J3. Go ahead and say it.
Hidden racism. But it ain't hidden. It's wide open.
So, the only team to beat the Kansas City Chiefs quietly in the desert with a 6-3 record, looking like they a playoff team, and old Chucky looked like he actually is back and got himself a squad.
The best thing about this is I believe they come. I think Kansas City plays Oakland this coming this. I said Oakland. I'm sorry. I believe
Las Vegas
plays Vegas this weekend. But
yes, they do.
But what came out recently is that Andy Reid is upset. Now, if anybody doesn't understand, the Kansas City Raiders rivalry is as fierce as any rivalry that exists in the NFL right now. I mean, they go back to the AFL days of just generally not liking one another. But anyway, apparently after the victory in Kansas City earlier this year by Las Vegas over the Chiefs, Gruden had the bus carrying the team back to the airport with his players on it, circle Arrowhead Stadium in a victory lap, so to speak, before heading off to the airport. Now, how good is that? How good is that? I love it. That's what it's supposed to be about. Rivalries where they generally do not like each other, and the theatrics of it all, and Gruden understanding where what that rivalry means to the Raider Nation. I love this. I love it.
It looked like Gruden starting to look like that $10 million a year contract that he got may have been worthwhile because the Raiders were garbage before he got there. Yeah. And I get hats off to Mike Mayock because Mike Mayock has had 2 excellent drafts in a row. That young talent they've got around in that organization looks real good. So the Raiders are back.
Raiders.
All right. So we're going to do a real flash. Packers struggled, but they beat the Jaguars. That was a horrible game. Patriots beat the Ravens in a driving rainstorm. It got worse as the game went off. So Ravens got some issues, and everybody trying to put it on Lamar, they need to stop. Because if you look at his statistics, he's almost mirroring his statistics he put up last year.
Right, but it's his decision-making, Big Reg. It's his decision-making. That part of him has to develop. It has to.
And throw the ball downfield. How about that?
But the rest of the team also has to play better, and they got to figure out how to deal with those injuries. Because
that's more concerning for me, and they're a rival of my team. But the injuries that think about it. They lost basically their interior line. They're starting 2 interior tackles, who are both all pros. They already are suffering. Many people don't talk about it, but we did prior to the season kicking off. They're still trying to adjust to Marshall Yanda leaving retirement. They lost perhaps the best or 1 or 2 left tackle in NFL earlier against Pittsburgh, and their center, we don't know what's wrong with him. We don't know if he's hurt. He claims to have injury to his hand, but it's just a mess over there in Baltimore. And I don't know how to fix it because technically, think about it. In the NFL, it's all about attrition, and you start losing like multiple all pros. No team is going to be able to survive. So I'm surprised Lamar. Heck, if it wasn't for Lamar's mobility, he would be hurt right now.
Yeah, and they lost their 2 defensive tackles, so they can't stop the run now. So, yeah, Baltimore got problems. So the coaching staff has to come up with some creative ways to continue to make them successful because if not, Pittsburgh's already running away with the division, but they may be in a situation where they may be looking at a very, very low AFC wild card seed. Colts quietly is kept. They're doing their thing. They beat the Titans. Titans got some problems too. Titans people are figuring out that offense and saying, okay, we're not going to let the big fella beat us. At least not totally. He may get 80 to 100 yards, but he's not going to beat us. We're going to make that man They got that $100 million contract beat us, and I don't think he can.
Man, Tannehill's a bum. Tannehill, he should donate half his salary to Derrick Henry, and the other half to the left tackle Taylor Lewan and the right tackle who's now in Cleveland, Conklin. That's the reason. Look, that's where Tennessee's issues on offense is coming from. They no longer have 2 All-Pro tackles blocking for Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, there's nothing wrong with him, but they know who. Tannehill is not going to beat anybody. Let's just call it what it is. He is not who is going to beat.
I hear you.
I put 8 men in the box and make them throw the ball.
Yeah, and that's what they've been doing the last 3 or 4 weeks.
The Saints get a W, but as we said earlier, lose Drew Brees. So, Jameis, you can make a lot of money, son. This is your time. Jameis can get paid if he can play well for this next 3 to 5 games. Jameis could be the top quarterback on the free agent market. So
he just got to remember what jersey to throw to.
Don't forget he got LASIK in the offseason.
Well, look,
yeah,
if they just keep wearing their black tops, he'll be fine. Never the white, only the black. He'll be fine.
And stay off Bourbon Street.
Y'all are killing me. And that's really all that's worth talking about. Everybody else, they won who should have beat. I'm sorry. I got to give props to Professor's man. Kirk got his first Monday night victory. So congratulations, Kirk Cousins. You are no longer
Captain Kirk.
Don't forget about the little people.
But they beat the Bears. I mean, really? Come on. He struggled with that, so we'll leave that alone.
But that was a division win.
Touchdowns to Thielen, nice throws to Jefferson. Man, come on, man. He was doing something out there.
He was doing something. Just something. All right, week 11 matchups to look forward to. Kicks off right on Thursday night. You got Cardinals and Kyler Murray going to see Russell Wilson and Seahawks. Falcons at the Saints. I know a lot of people may be, what are you talking about Falcons? Falcons are 3-1 since they put that black man as temporary head coach. So
Radio Raheem.
And now they got Jameis playing the Saints. That's going to be a tough game. Titans at Ravens. Somebody's got to get on track. Packers at Colts. Packers slip up in this game, they could have problems. Then Chiefs at Raiders Sunday night 8:20, and then the Rams at the Bucks Monday night. And it's, the Rams at the Bucks game is going to be very special. It's going to be the first ever NFL game that's going to have an all-black officiating crew.
Yes.
Nice. About time.
That should get more press.
Yeah.
So that's cool. That's cool. All right, so let's hit college football real quick. Ed, why don't you tell us a little bit about this LSU story that's going on?
I wish I didn't have to talk about this, but what's going on in LSU is indicative to some of these big time programs and the challenges they face. What's going on right now is LSU has been accused. USA Today report came out that LSU, they're accusing LSU after a thorough investigation of covering up domestic violence and sexual assault claims made by LSU student women against LSU athletes, but most importantly, the football team. As to date, they have 9 members of the program that has been accused during the head coach Edge Orgeron's reign at LSU. And at the top of this list is, and the most visible player from LSU is former LSU and Washington football team running back Darius Geis. And while he was at LSU, he was accused of raping 2 women and also taking nude photos without permission of a third. No charges had ever been filed against Geis. And as we know, because we live in this area, Geis, a second round pick of the Washington football team, has actually been was let go earlier this year from the Washington team after he had been accused on 3 separate incidents of domestic violence at his home in Virginia. This case is eerily similar to the Baylor sexual assault scandal that actually cost the head coach his job, the athletic director the president of Baylor his job, and it actually cost the AD his job because he was forced to resign. Now, of course, again, the numbers are different. There was excess of 54 victims at Baylor compared to the alleged 9 at LSU. So my question for you guys and ladies is, how much the responsibility does LSU leadership have in administering discipline to these players, or should law enforcement officials be held accountable for these alleged crimes because these students actually came and filed charges through law enforcement about these incidents? So what do you guys think?
But they filed charges through law enforcement after going to the school and reporting the issues, and the schools didn't follow their procedures. Once that happens, they're supposed to start a Title IX investigation. And repeatedly, from the information that I've read, a lot of these were never reported to the Title IX office. Some of them weren't even reported to the football team at all because the women would go. A lot of these women are athletes on women's teams at the college. So they go to their coach, and their coach will protect the football team and not pass it on. So this is a big problem. And with Ed Ogeron losing this year, I understand he just won a national championship, but this is the kind of stuff he was already on thin ice before he won a championship. Now he's losing. This kind of stuff is going to get him fired real quick. If any of these allegations have any ounce of truth and they can prove it, he's going to be up out of there.
This is why I say everybody, because I don't care who knew what, when they knew what, who covered up what. If you are complicit and you had knowledge of this stuff that was going on and you did nothing about it, then you should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. I'm tired of all of this stuff going on. People talking about boys want to be boys and all this kind of stuff. If the NCAA really wants to do something, you're always investigating who taking money from who, taking Heisman trophies and all these kind of things and championships and wins. Do something about the rape and sexual violence culture on these college campuses. If you really want to make a difference, do that. That's what we need you to do. People have daughters out here that they want protected no matter where they are on a college campus, and people aren't doing enough to protect them. Man, head coaches, ADs, it's not enough. Law enforcement people, everybody needs to be held accountable. Until that happens, we're going to get this whole song and dance. 2 more years later, it's going to be another big school with the same scandal, and it's going to be the same cover-ups and all that kind of stuff. And you know what? The good players get to go on and have great careers. They knew this stuff about Darius Geis. That's why he fell to the Washington football team. They knew he had these allegations come out of LSU. So if you're not going to stamp this stuff out, then what are we talking about here?
That's why you got a Title IX officer in every school. They're supposed to be taking these allegations seriously and ensuring that they're following up and confirming whether it happened or not, and taking actions against the individuals that are alleged.
But they take too long.
I think the young ladies, it's sad that the young ladies have to hop out here and basically say something on their own. It's one of the biggest problems that they have to stand up for themselves. These schools are not going to feel it until you touch their pockets. It's the reason they continue to cover it up. They allow these things to happen. They allow the guys to run rampant. And it's just not your football teams. It's your wrestling teams, your basketball teams. Wherever the fellas are linking up, it's a strong possibility for them to take advantage of the fact that you're not going to discipline me that much because I can get away with anything I want. As long as I'm bringing back championships, wins, the donors are continuously giving in cash, all that type of stuff. So it starts with the heart. Ladies, men who see it on these college campuses, young guys, say something. you're going to have to do it yourself. It's too much money at play, unfortunately. It's disgusting, and it's the harsh reality. Until the pockets get hit, until you're seen in a dark hue, when you're not as colorful as you used to be, when people can start running their own little commercials via YouTube or their own social mediums and whatnot, and to be able to discuss these issues, it's just going to keep going on. So my heart goes out to everyone who's been in these issues. And also, we have to stop victim blaming. A lot of time, the individuals, the young ladies won't say anything because, well, you shouldn't have been over there in them short shorts. You shouldn't have been doing this. You shouldn't have been doing that. No, that young lady was enjoying her life just like Homeboy was enjoying her life. And she deserves to get back to her dorm room just like Homeboy deserves to get back to his dorm room. So until individuals start stepping up and doing what's necessary, this problem will continue to happen. People need to start getting slapped, honestly. Excuse me.
I hear you, Jay Wills. I hear you. I hear you. You got anything to add to this, Mel, as the female on the panel?
Yeah, I agree with everything everybody has said. Unfortunately, domestic violence of all kinds have a long-standing history on college campuses, and a lot of times, a lot of it is not even reported because women are like, they're not going to believe you. So and so reported it and nothing happened, or like they get victim bashed and blamed, and and even like guys that like witnesses, they get intimidated, so you're right. Until it hits like the pockets, the change is not going to happen because they've been getting away with it forever. I mean, like you said, Professor Jay, there's been a history, like a carousel. Didn't Penn State have like a scandal a couple of years ago? I mean, so every year it's like the next big school is a scandal coming out.
But the problem is no one will step up and report it. And if you don't report it, it's never going to get corrected. It's only going to reoccur. So you have to ensure that individuals are stepping up and reporting the allegations so that they can be investigated.
And whenever the NCAA finds out that someone was dissuaded or told not to file a Title IX, whoever that person is, they need to be up out of there. That'll be another way to get this done, because too many of these young ladies, either like Mel said, either scared to report it, heard someone else who went through it, so don't want to go through that. And it's going to take the schools to step up, the NCAA to step up, and more importantly, people who know these young ladies who have these situations to step up and support them so that they can have the courage to go out and tell their truths and tell what happened to them and stand behind them and make sure they know that we're not going to stand for this and y'all going to do something,
right?
Or we're going to take this national.
Right. And Big Ray is not just out of a job off a team; they need to be in jail.
But don't just limit it to women, because men do get raped as well. So we gotta identify that as well. So don't just limit it to females, because it goes both ways. And you have some males who don't want to say anything because they're scared to broadcast what happened to them as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the question in college football, Ned put it pretty distinctly. I like it. Should they just cancel the rest of the college football season and just put Ohio State, Alabama, Notre Dame, and Clemson in the playoffs and just call it a year and stop putting these young men's health at risk?
Yes, because all they care about is that college football playoff money anyway.
Right.
And most of the conferences already made enough, to keep themselves afloat a little longer. But again, the objective was getting that money in January. They can care less about this regular season. They just want to get there. So I've watched a lot of college football so far this fall. Notre Dame, Clemson, Bama, and Ohio State. I can live with that. Put
them in a bubble.
They look like the four best teams to me.
Put them in a bubble.
It sounds good, but then you're still negating all the other colleges that are trying to acquire the money that they need to recoup what they've lost for the last couple of weeks. Keep that in mind. It's all about money. It ain't about the win and losses. It's all about the money.
Well, when they got,
but if they keep playing, they might not have a college football playoff, and that's where the biggest money is.
Dr. Pepper. They want their sponsorship dollar. They ain't playing. They not.
You ain't never lied.
All these commercials we putting out for y'all.
Oh, you killing me. You killing me.
Okay.
But to J3's point, just because say Alabama makes it to the playoffs, the SEC eats. It's not just Alabama going to eat; the whole entire league eats. So yeah, you have these other teams that are trying, they're out there. But let's be honest, and they might go to like the Miami Bowl or something like that. Yeah, there's some money involved in that.
Chick-fil-A.
But for the most part, I mean, they only played the season for the big boys. It's not like they really played for the little teams anyway.
Eat more chicken.
And I mean,
it's what Larry put up.
Yeah. Yep. True.
You had half of the top draft prospects didn't play this year anyway.
Yeah.
And the quarterbacks who did play, they were going to go 1, 2, or 3 anyway. So I don't think it's going to hurt the draft much at all.
Would be vicious.
Let's just get rid of it. I mean, come on. Miami University had to cancel not only this week's game, but next week's game already.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's getting crazy to keep putting these kids out there. Texas A&M, they had to postpone this week's game. There's going to be some more before Saturday hits.
Yeah.
So what are they doing?
And the COVID situation now is worse than it was when it was at its peak earlier this year.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
and everybody's carried on like, everybody's out and about. Sports is going on. Everybody's happy. So, well, everybody except the GOP. But other than that, everybody's happy.
There you go, Ed.
My bad. I know this ain't that platform.
All right, so enjoy college football while you can, because it's not going to be much longer for sure. You might get another week or two before I think they're going to have to shut this thing down.
Yeah, they will.
All right, Professor, you ready for your takes?
I got you. All right, everybody, let's get close. Let's curl up. Let's do these post takes real quick. All right. So starting off, I gotta hit y'all with this one. If you smell what the Rock is cooking, can you believe that the Brahma Bull made his debut in the WWF WWE on this day, November 17th, 1996? Wow. Throughout his illustrious career, he has been 8-time world heavyweight champion. He won the Royal Rumble only 4 years in the year 2000. Next stop for this guy is WWE Hall of Fame. We salute you for all those years of entertainment. Got ribs? Well, Kentavious Street must have won it some big time to the tune of 6 cracked ribs and a punctured lung on his penalized hit and takedown of Drew Brees. Speaking of WWE, geez, dude, you almost killed the greatest quarterback of all time. We wish Drew a speedy recovery. Peyton's Places is back for a second season. This is exciting news. Peyton Manning is actually very funny, and he gets to use his talents of being cerebral and breaking down sports in a very humorous and unique ways. The show is also very entertaining and gives pertinent sports history and little-known tidbits. We also get a great look at past and present sports legends. Tune in. I hear you, Pac-10 women. Y'all are coming for the crown. Stanford, Oregon, Arizona. I hear the chirp, but have you seen the fire in the eyes of Don Staley lately? She is going to have those South Carolina Gamecocks ready. Those ladies will have a lot to say about who hoists that trophy this year.
And don't forget about the UConn Huskies. They got the number one pick in the nation.
Don Staley gonna whip them too, but we'll see. All right, there we go. The NBA literally just ended, and now it's back. Trades, drafts, Wizards drama. Y'all know. Y'all know how it is. Bradley Beal is apparently back on the trading block, even though GM Tommy Shepard is vehemently denying it with crossed eyes, crossed fingers, and toes. Just keep in mind that rumors are not always lies. Some of them are hidden truths, especially in this city. Miami and Golden
There was a
State
rumor,
are hoping-
real quick. There was
Yeah.
a rumor that one of our listeners put in tonight that the Wizards are supposedly entertaining a trade with Houston for Westbrook. Wall for Westbrook.
Oh.
I saw that.
Okay.
All right. Miami and Golden State are hoping to change the Wizards' mind. Poor Chris Paul. He will always be that great point guard that could never get in a Lakers uniform. I don't want to speak ill of the dead, but David Stern. Okay, I won't do it. I respect what you were trying to do during that time. Paul will never get a title. Let's just embrace it. He almost played with Kobe. He almost played with LeBron. I almost feel sorry for him, but he is still the real Chris Paul, and he still is a future Hall of Famer. Not too shabby. Theo Epstein is stepping down as the president of basketball operations of the Chicago Cubs. As far as I'm concerned, he brought a championship after 108 years for the team. He will forever be a little god in Chicago for this franchise and all of its fans. They have not made much noise since 2016, but who cares? Does anyone think this guy will be out of a job for long? I bet the Mets will be calling. This may sound harsh, but John Harbaugh may be secretly wishing that his brother Jim gets fired from Michigan and have them do it very soon. Lamar Jackson needs some QB help. At least on the pro level, John has been the QB whisperer. He can especially work with mobile quarterbacks that have strong arms and elusive abilities to extend plays. He would be a perfect fit for the Ravens staff to get Jackson to see the full ceiling of his potential. Go anyone against Michigan. Esports is also opening doors of diversity. Kudos. And it starts with having the conversations. Gamers come in all sizes, ages, backgrounds, and races. And the one thing that they have in common is they can play. I mean, really game. But just like in real life, virtual reality has been practicing some of the same forms of bigotry and racism. Kudos to ESPN Esports for getting the change going. And lastly, much respect to Australian tennis star Nick Kyrgios for speaking out concerning his bout with personal depression and mental health issues. It truly takes our heroes to let all of us know that they battle through the same human ailments. Fame and prestige does not separate anyone from what it means to be human and to struggle with life's challenges. Let us lift them up for the right reasons and support them because they put more on the line for supporting all of us. And these are your post takes for tonight. Back to you.
Thanks, Professor. Just a couple of things, few things caught our eye. Got to say congrats to our man Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah.
Not only did Hamilton get his 94th win in the rain at the Turkish Grand Prix, but the victory cemented his 7th F1 season championship, tying in with Michael Schumacher. But more importantly, after the victory, Hamilton said that he's going to stay in F1 to make sure that he changes how motorsports in Europe are a non-diverse situation. He's going to be the catalyst to change that. So, Lewis, keep doing what you're doing, partner. Keep bringing these championships in. Also like to give congrats to #1 in the world golfer, Dustin Johnson, for winning the Masters over the weekend, 20 under par. This is the second major. Dustin kind of cemented himself as the #1 golfer in the world. Huge congrats to Kim Ang for becoming the first female GM of a North American professional sports team. She will be the new GM for the Miami Marlins. Hats off to Derek Jeter for making this move. Miss Ang has been in the MLB for 30 plus years, working her way up with the White Sox, the Yankees, Dodgers, and MLB. So, hey, if you're doing it, diversity makes you stronger, no matter if it's minorities, women, the more diverse the organization you have, the better chance you have to be successful, in my opinion. Terrence Bud Crawford did his thing Saturday.
We got the Bud.
He made a quick
Bud.
night for Kell Brook,
Bud.
taking him out in the 4th round with a TKO. After the fight, Bud said there's only 2 people he's willing to fight, Pacquiao or Earl Spence, but he's a realist and says the Pacquiao fight is probably going to be the easiest one to put together. So look for Crawford against Pacquiao 2021 somewhere in the Middle East for some big money.
Smoke him, man. I don't want to see neither one of them.
Yeah.
And lastly, NCAA is looking to create its own bubble for the men's basketball NCAA tournament. They didn't say anything about the women, which is a problem for me, but they are looking at Indianapolis area, which is already supposed to host the Final Four, to do everything in one area, kind of lock everything down so they can try to get that money. As you say, J3, it's all about the money.
Mm-hmm.
All right, fellas and ladies, it's time for our final post so we can get up out of here. J3, what you got for me?
Just want to give a shout out to Cam Newton for pulling his squad out of that rainstorm and getting the victory. Good job, Cam.
Cam.
Professor, what you got for me?
Well, I just want everybody to just remember that we are in the midst of a pandemic. Try to stay safe. Try to make sure that your city, your town, your state are one of the ones that show up on the map where it's actually going down. We need to take care of each other out here. I know we do a sports show, but we're real people living real lives, and we want to be able to get out the house sometime. So think about that next time you're living recklessly.
Mm-hmm.
Well said. Well said. Ed, what you got for me this evening, partner?
I agree with everything Professor just said, and I'm just going to be looking forward to watching football for as long as I can still watch it, because I have a feeling that we're not going to be necessarily watching it much longer moving forward.
Unfortunately, I agree. And to our special guest, Mel, any final thoughts for us for your final post?
No, I just want to thank you. Thank you, gentlemen, again for inviting me on the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was fun to sit down and, be a part of the podcast. And
yeah, because you brought the fire.
Yes, you did.
Appreciate you.
And for those who didn't know, I was quiet during the NBA because, like I was telling the fellows beforehand, it bores me. So I don't really keep up with it. But I think that has to do with my lineage of being from Western PA and us not having a professional sports team. So I never really invested my interest in basketball. But if you want to talk football, hockey, or baseball, I'm all with it.
I hear that.
And hi, Mom, I know you're watching, and hi, Champ, I know you're watching too.
Thank you.
Well, Mel, we'd like to thank you again, first and foremost, for supporting us this past year plus, always being there. We've heard about you supporting us, and it was an absolute pleasure to meet you and have you on the show. And you got to come back because you brought the heat in that NFL section. So, put you two together. Y'all scary. I just like to tell everybody out there, please, please be safe. Yes. Unfortunately, these numbers are getting crazy out there. Do yourself a favor. If you haven't thought about paper products recently because you thought, the push was done, get to the store as soon as you can. Toilet paper, paper towels, any type of paper products are hard to find right now. So please find them, stock up when you can, because they say it's going to get worse as it gets colder, and you don't want to be going to the store to get some toilet paper. All right. We'd like to thank you all for tuning in and listening this evening. We appreciate your time and opportunity to share our positions on sports with you. We're here each and every Tuesday, 7 p.m. for the live show. You can also catch the show on our YouTube channel at Positions on Sports Talk Show. Of course, our Facebook page. Please subscribe, like both pages. We greatly appreciate it. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Position on Sports. If you have any questions, any suggestions, reach out to us. We greatly appreciate hearing from you. Again, stay safe. Be good out there. This has been the Positional Sports Show Talk Show. Have a great evening. Peace.
God bless you. Peace.
See ya.
Bye.